Elena's morning started with silence, not the peaceful kind, but the kind that sat heavy in her chest. Too loud to ignore. Daniel had been gone for 6 months, but the sound of his laughter still echoed faintly in the hallway. She hated how grief made time feel like a fog, thick, slow, and impossible to escape. She poured coffee for herself and stared at the second mug. She hadn't broken the habit. That second cup still waited every morning, untouched. Liam came down the stairs quietly. At 17, he'd taken the role of man of the house, without being asked, without question, without complaint. But Elena saw it, the way he swallowed his emotions, how he blinked too much when someone mentioned his father, and how he avoided the living room where Daniel's jacket still hung by the door. "You need lunch money?" Elena asked. "I'm good," he said, grabbing a granola bar. He was always good. Too good. It hurt more than if he'd screamed or cried. At least then she'd know he was still breaking like she was. After he left, Elena sat alone. The days dragged into a loop of meaningless tasks. She tried to work from home, but found herself rereading the same emails. Cooking felt pointless. Cleaning was only a distraction. The silence in the house mocked her every move. Mark showed up unannounced that evening. "I was in the area," he said. "Thought I'd check in." She opened the door wider without hesitation. Mark was Daniel's best friend. He was practically family. He'd been there after the funeral at the hospital, and every time she broke down in the middle of the night, if grief had any pattern, Mark was part of it. He handed her a bottle of wine. "Don't act like you didn't need this." They sat on the couch. For the first time in days, she laughed. Mark had that effect on people. Daniel used to say he could charm a locked door open. "I miss him," Mark said, voice quieter now. "I know." They didn't talk for a while, just sat with their glasses in hand, looking into nothing. Liam came home. His eyes moved from Elena to Mark and back, but he didn't say anything, just nodded and went upstairs. "You okay?" Mark asked once Liam was out of earshot. "He's holding it in," Elena said. "Like me?" Mark reached for her hand. It was a small gesture, warm but loaded. She didn't pull away, but she noticed. Later that night, Elena called her friend Olivia. "You need a change of scene," Olivia said. "Come stay with me for a weekend. Just a reset." "I can't leave Liam." Mark's around. "He can help, right?" Elena paused. "Yeah, he's been helpful." "You trust him?" "Of course." But her voice lacked conviction. After they hung up, Elena stared at her phone. Mark's contact was open. His last message, "Anytime you need me, I'm here." Simple, familiar, safe. The truth was, Mark was easier to lean on than the silence. He filled space Daniel used to occupy. He remembered her favorite wine, knew how she liked her coffee, and told stories that made her forget, for just a moment, that her husband was never coming home. She didn't know yet that comfort could be dangerous, that grief and desire could share the same room, that love, in its absence, could reshape itself into something entirely unexpected. That realization hadn't arrived, but it was coming. Elena hadn't planned it. One minute she was crying to Mark's shoulder, and the next, their lips were pressed together. It was soft, desperate, and wrong. She pulled back first, breath shaky, heart pounding. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Mark didn't answer. He just looked at her like he'd been waiting for it. The silence between them held too much. The next day, she couldn't meet her own eyes in the mirror. She wore guilt like perfume, subtle but constant. Every corner of the house reminded her of Daniel. His cologne still clung to the coat closet. His handwriting still marked grocery lists shoved in drawers. And now she had kissed his best friend. Mark didn't bring it up the next time he came over. He acted normal, helped her fix a leaky faucet, talked to Liam about college. But something shifted, the way his hand lingered on her back, the way his gaze held hers just a second too long. Elena noticed it all and didn't stop it. That night, they did more than kiss. Afterwards, Elena sat at the edge of her bed, wrapped in a robe, numb. "This is wrong," she said. "I know, but I don't want to stop." "I don't either." She hated how right it felt. She hated herself more for wanting it. Days passed. Then weeks. The affair became a quiet routine. Mark came by once or twice a week. They didn't speak of love. It wasn't love. It was something tangled, part grief, part comfort, part something unnamed. Elena buried the guilt in chores, in pretending, in making Liam's favorite meals. But Liam saw through it. He wasn't a child. One night at dinner, he stared at her longer than usual. His fork barely moved. When she asked him how school was, he shrugged, then said, "You seem different lately." "Different how?" "Just different." She smiled too tightly. "I'm trying." He didn't answer. Later, while folding laundry, Olivia called. "You sound tired." Olivia said, "I'm fine." "You're not fine, Elena. You haven't been since." "I know." Elena cut in. "I'm managing." There was a pause. "Is there something going on with you and Mark?" Elena froze. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I know you, and I've seen the way he looks at you, and the way you let him." "It's not like that." Elena lied, voice sharp. "Isn't it?" Elena ended the call early. That night, she couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling, remembering the way Daniel used to breathe beside her. Steady, safe, familiar. Mark didn't breathe like that. Nothing about this was steady. It was a storm she kept walking into. One afternoon, Liam came home early. Elena was in the kitchen with Mark, both laughing over a burned pie crust. Liam's eyes moved between them, and then to the untouched pie. "I'm not hungry," he said, heading to his room. The door shut louder than necessary. Mark looked at her. "He knows." Elena nodded. "We should stop." "Should," she repeated, but didn't say more. She knew this couldn't last. But knowing and stopping were different things. The loneliness wasn't gone. It just had a new shape. And in the quiet moments, when no one was watching, she kept choosing the wrong thing, because it felt less empty than nothing at all. Liam was waiting for her. She saw him as soon as she walked in, sitting on the couch, arms crossed, face unreadable. The house was too quiet. Mark had left an hour earlier. Elena could still feel his presence in the air, on her skin. "You're home late," Liam said. She tried to stay calm. "I was running errands." He looked at her, straight through her. "Are you in love with Uncle Mark?" The question hit harder than any scream could have. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. "Liam." "I'm not stupid," he said, voice steady. "I've seen the way you look at him, the way he looks at you." She took a step forward. "It's not like that." "Then what is it?" She couldn't lie, not convincingly. "I didn't mean for anything to happen." So something did happen. He didn't need details. His face twisted into something she hadn't seen before, hurt layered with disgust. "Dad trusted him, and he trusted you." "I know." "Then why?" His voice cracked. "Why would you do this to him? To us?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "I was lonely. I made a mistake. I wasn't thinking clearly." "Don't give me that." He snapped. "You knew what you were doing. You just did it anyway." Her knees felt weak. She sat down. "I miss him every single day, Liam. I walk around this house and see him everywhere. I'm trying to keep it together. By sleeping with his best friend?" The words felt like knives. She deserved them. "I never meant to hurt you." He stood, shaking his head. "You didn't just hurt me. You made me ashamed to be in this house." She cried then, openly, not just for Daniel, but for the part of herself she'd let rot in silence. "I wanted to tell you. I just didn't know how." "You weren't going to," Liam said coldly. "You were going to keep pretending nothing was happening. I didn't want to lose you." "You already have," he said, walking toward his room. She called his name, but he didn't stop. Left alone, Elena felt something deeper than grief. It was shame without escape. She saw Daniel's face in her mind, warm, trusting, full of life, and couldn't breathe. She had betrayed more than a memory. She had broken something living, something real, and there was no undoing it. Elena didn't call Mark. She didn't text, didn't explain. She simply stopped answering. There was nothing left to say that wouldn't make things worse. When he finally came by, she met him at the door. "It's over," she said quietly. Mark didn't argue. He just nodded, eyes heavy with things he wouldn't say. I never wanted to be a secret, he said, but I knew I was. She watched him leave and close the door, sealing off a chapter she wished she'd never written. Liam didn't speak to her for days. He went to school, came home, ate in silence. The house felt colder than it ever had after Daniel's death. Silence used to be sadness. Now it was punishment. She wrote a letter to Daniel, not to send, just to say the things she couldn't carry anymore. I let the loneliness win. I confused comfort for connection. I betrayed you and I betrayed our son. If you were here, I'd beg for your forgiveness. But you're not. So I'll ask it myself every day until I earn it back, if that's even possible. She folded the letter and placed it inside the first photo album they ever made together. It felt right that it stayed with the memories where the damage began. Olivia came over with soup and silence. She didn't say, "I told you so." She just sat with Elena while she cried. "You have to fix it," Olivia said finally. "Not just with him, with yourself." Elena started therapy. She asked Liam to come with her. He refused at first. Then one morning, she found him waiting by the door. "I'll go," he said, not meeting her eyes. "But I'm not ready to forgive you." "I'm not asking for that," she said. "Just a chance to try." The sessions were quiet at first. Liam rarely spoke, but by the third one, he asked her why she hadn't talked to him about how lonely she felt. She didn't have an answer that mattered. Months passed. The tension eased. Not gone, but softer. On what would have been Daniel's birthday, Liam handed her a framed photo. It was the three of them at the beach. Daniel's arm around both of them. "He believed in you," Liam said. "You should try to live like someone he'd still believe in." Elena nodded, tears falling freely. She didn't ask for a second chance. But now she knew what to do with it. She had broken trust, broken hearts, but she would not stay broken.